paper entitled Measuring Poverty Within Filipino Households, Examining of Resource Sharing and Economies of Scale. This study is authored in 2024 by our team led by Dr. Jose Ramon Albert, Dr. Connie Dacuycuy, Dr. Imelda Agdepa, Dr. Giancarlo Punong Bayan, and colleagues from the OST, Food and Nutrition Research Institute, and PIDS. So this paper challenges the equal sharing assumption built into how we measure poverty, especially among national statistical offices. Official figures assume that every household member receives an equal slice of income. Since this assumption may not hold all the time, in practice, when we make adjustments to account for this, we find that women, children, and the elderly receive far less, making them poorer than official statistics reveal. So this is the outline of our presentation. We will start with the problem in official poverty measurement, then walk through the theory and data for addressing the issue, and we will present the key results, then close with policy implications. So why do we need to revisit poverty measurement? The PSA puts the official poverty rate at about 15.5% in 2023, reduced from 18% in 2021. Many of us cite these figures, which are built on a hidden assumption that households' income is split equally among all members. We know that this equal sharing assumption may not always hold true in some households in practice. That is because some women inside the household may sacrifice consumption for their children, or that children in larger families get less share per person, and the elderly may face medical costs that income measures ignore. So what does the household data tell us? We may use data from household surveys to examine clothing and footwear expenditures, as well as food budget expenditures recorded per member in the Family Income and Expenditure Survey, and for the food in the Expanded National Nutrition Survey, for us to estimate individual resource shares, which can be used as proxy for individual data on total budget expenditure. So for the equal sharing assumption, the per capita method of poverty measurement allocates household income evenly by the number of members and compares it to the poverty line. So it treats every person in a household as receiving an equal share. So a household that clears the poverty line is entirely non-poor, regardless of what is the real allocation of resources inside. This design makes intra-household inequality invisible and systematically misses the gender gap, since often women consistently receive less than men. When we look at the data in the Philippines, as well as what the literature in development economics suggests. We present the three research objectives in our study. First, we estimate the resource shares of adult men, women, and children inside households. This is the fraction of household expenditures that they truly receive. And second, we account for economies of scale, since shared goods like housing reduce per person costs. And third, with this, we estimate the poverty at the individual level, producing separate poverty rates for women, men, children, and the elderly that reveal what household level measures cannot directly show. For the theoretical framework, in employing our analysis, we use the collective household model, treating households as groups of individuals with their own preferences rather than a single unified decision maker. The key parameter is the resource share, and we jointly estimate the individual level Engel curves using household survey data from which resource shares are derived. The methodology we used is the model of Leshene, Pendacour, and Wolf 2021. Clothing and footwear expenditure is the identification strategy. Since clothing and footwear is a good that is private, assignable, and can be recorded and directly attributed according to if it is consumed by adult men or adult women and children inside the household uh, within the family income and expenditure surveys. So the Engel curves and individual resource shares can be derived from this data set. For the data sources, we use two data sets for the study. Primarily, we examine the merged Family Income and Expenditure Survey and Labor Force Survey from PSA for the rounds 2018 and 2021, which records clothing expenditures attributable to adult men, adult women, and children within the household, which is essential for the joint estimation of resource shares among the family members. And secondarily, we also use the expanded National Nutrition Survey from FNRI covering 2018 to 2021 with individual level food intake and expenditures data that serves as an independent robustness check on the resource share estimates that we obtained from FIES. For the key results on the resource shares, the results obtained are consistent and striking. Women receive around 25 to 43% of household resources, depending on the household type, while men command a higher portion, at least 41% or more. And children receive around 7 to 19% per child, in which large families are smaller shares for children. And the gender gap is widest in rural areas and households with more children, reaching up to 12 percentage points. Perhaps the most striking finding is how much child poverty may be hidden by household level measures. Children receive only about 7 to 19% of household resources per child, far below what equal per capita sharing would imply. Because poverty is measured as the household level, once a household is classified as non-poor, all members, including children, are automatically counted as non-poor. So this masks the deprivation that may be present within some non-poor households. So using this Engel curve analysis and individual resource shares, we find that child poverty rises sharply when we move away from per capita measures. In short, many children that may be living in non-poor households, when we account for how actual resources are shared, may in fact be considered poor. Women's shares fall furthest as the family size grows. In some households, mothers absorb the cost of additional children more than anyone in the household. For the elderly, the mechanism differs. They often live in multi-generational or extended households that appear non-poor on income, but uh, the fact that some emergency or out-of-pocket medical costs may drain their effective resources. So these are the poverty rates. We present this illustrative table of estimates of poverty rates based on our findings. At the aggregate, the poverty rate under unequal resource sharing poverty rate by 3.7 percentage points. But for some subgroups, the gap is much larger. 3.2 percentage points for women, 2.5 points for the elderly women, and 0.3 smaller points for elderly men. Children see the biggest jump, 8.7 percentage points from 23.8 to 32.5%. That difference is significant enough to require a fundamental rethink of how we target social programs. So why do official measures miss the poor? We see three structural reasons why official poverty measures miss the poor. First, that household level aggregation assigns one poverty status to all members, making individual deprivation invisible. Second, the equal sharing assumption ignores how sex, age, and bargaining power inside the household determine resource allocation inside. And that third, ignoring economies of scale distorts welfare comparisons. These errors partially offset each other in the aggregate, which is why the official rate seems all right, but they hide real deprivation. So incorporating economies of scale, the scale parameter captures efficiency gains from shared household goods. Shared public goods such as housing and utilities mean that larger households need proportionally less than their headcount implies. A couple may need only 1.5 times rather than twice a single person's income to achieve the same standard of living or welfare. Adults benefit more than children from shared goods, and scale economies do reduce measured poverty somewhat, but they do not come close to erasing the effect on unequal sharing within the household. So what does this imply for policy? We present three priorities for policy implications. First, to move toward individual welfare indicators to complement what the official poverty measurement suggests. The methodology is already feasible with the existing FIES data. And then second, social protection that targets households will miss women and children who may be poor within nominally non-poor households and shift toward member-specific targeting. And then third, the elderly face hidden poverty driven by medical costs and not income to expand social pension coverage and PhilHealth to address this directly. So we conclude that equal sharing assumption produces systematically poverty counts that ignore the reality of resource allocation within the family. Adult women receive 25 to 43% depending on the household type compared to over 41% commanded by men within the households. Children as little as 7 to 19%, well below equality. Individual poverty rates exceed official figures by 3 to 9 percentage points across the groups, most severely for children. Economies of scale matter, but do not offset the inequality, and that poverty measurement must be examined at the individual level. So thank you very much for your time to listen to our presentation.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dayan.